Hey, it's Autumn McLeese, your birth doula and crunchy mama source for choosing healthier, alternative ways of living. Because when you know better, you do better. Join me as we explore topics that might challenge what you know to be true when it comes to health, birth, and beyond. Let me help you think outside the box and empower you with steps to do better. Your best life could be on the other side of this next podcast, so join me now. Hey guys, welcome to the Know Better, Do Better podcast. Autumn here. In today's episode, we meet Joy Marcinkowski, a Bowen Therapist for over 10 years, and she's been educating and teaching Bowen Therapy for over 6. Now, Bowen Therapy is a topical physical stimulus type therapy that has deep-rooted effects internally as it addresses the fascia, the nervous system, and helps aid the body in healing itself. It's certainly not well known, but after learning about it myself and experiencing it multiple times now, I've decided everyone needs to have this a part of their life and a part of their health journey. You'll learn a ton more in our interview and see how it may help you with pain and inflammation, tight muscles, things like plantar fasciitis and sciatica, and maybe even change your blood work. I've currently got a fiery passion for this therapy right now and all that it can do for people. So let's jump into our interview. Hi, Joy. Welcome to the podcast. I'm excited you're here to share more about Bowen Therapy. It's been a new therapy for me, actually, just in this last year. I've learned more about it, and I'm so excited for you taking the time to be here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to get the word out about Bowen.
Oh, you and me both, man. So I met Joy actually through my current Bowen therapist, and Joy teaches this technique along with she's a therapist herself. And I found out about it through a friend that I was sitting at my daughter's dance competition, and I was talking to this friend, and she was saying she just got some Bowenwork to help with her plantar fasciitis. And so I said, well, what in the world is Bowen? I've never heard of this. Like, I feel like I've heard of everything, but Bowen, what is it? So she tried to explain it to me, and I said, okay, I got to talk to this girl. I want to learn more about, because she couldn't explain it very well. I wanted to learn more of the details of what is this, and maybe it could help me. And so I called up my therapist, Janelle, talked to her, and I was blown away by what she was telling me, but I was also very intrigued to see what it could do for me. I personally don't have any pain, but I was diagnosed with this blood-borne condition about a year ago. And so I thought, well, maybe in a roundabout way, this could help my health. So I jumped in. I was told you need to do at least 3 treatments to really have Bowen have a chance to take effect, if you will. So I committed to 3 treatments, and wow, have I seen results, which I will cover probably later. But yeah, it took away my friend's plantar fasciitis, 1 treatment. After my success, I ended up telling a friend that I work out at the gym with who was struggling with sciatica, nerve pain. She had been having that for months. And she went and had a treatment, and it was gone in 1 treatment. And so I've just seen incredible results, and I feel like there's just so much to say. We'll jump into that later. But Joy, tell us, like, what is Bowen therapy in your best way of explaining it? I know it's complex.
Yes, excuse me. It is. It's really simple, but there's just so many little complexities to it. I don't know how to explain it myself, but here in the United States, it's called Bowenwork, and it's a brilliant modality that was developed by a man named Thomas Bowen. And the concept is based on less is best. And basically, there's these little rolls over tissue, muscles or tendons, ligaments. And what it does is it initiates a healing response through those precise receptors that we're going over through the nervous system.
Mm.
So, in a nutshell,
Yeah, I've heard it referred to as almost like a reset for the body. Like
yes,
how we shut our computer down or we kind of want to reboot it or reset it. It kind of correlates with what the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous systems.
yes, yes, both of those are definitely involved. The beauty of Bowen is it gets your body to come into a restful state
Mm,
because that's when our bodies heal the best, is when we're at rest.
yes, absolutely. Um, Tell me, how did you get into Bowen work? I feel like it's unheard of here
Yeah.
in the US. And now, since having my success, I've talked to some other friends about this therapy and this technique. And they're looking up, therapists, and some are easy to find in certain states, and some are not so easy to find. So, like, I'm curious, how did you even come about to finding Bowen work?
Well, I was certified massage therapist in 2006. And one of my friends in Oregon was posting on social media about Bowen work, Bowen therapy, and all these wonderful results that she was getting. And it just intrigued me too. I was like, I need to learn about this. So I looked it up on the American Bowen Academy website and found a class that will be held close to me. And within 3 months, I started my journey into learning Bowen work. And then I became an instructor in 2018.
Wow, that's awesome. It does seem like a lot of these Bowen therapists, oftentimes they come from massage, would you say?
A lot of them do, but they can come from many different backgrounds. There's been people from all sorts. A lot of them are from the health field because we want to help people. But even the general public, I've had students that have come to learn just to help their friends and family.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know Janelle, my therapist, she said she was a massage therapist for, I think she said like 15 years or something. And her words were she was never able to truly help people in the way that Bowen helps people. And it blew my mind as I was learning about it and experiencing it for myself. It's actually less hands on than massage.
Yes.
I kind of walked out of there chuckling after my first appointment, thinking, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Like she does, a couple little maneuvers, and then they go and they take this break for like 1 to 3 to 5 minutes, I think, depending upon the maneuver. And that time frame is what your body kind of working. You've done a stimulus in that area and your body's working on healing itself during that time. Is that kind of how that works?
Yes, that's when all the work happens, is during those pauses.
Mm,
So because we do activate the receptor and we have to have time to allow the body to assimilate that and integrate within the body. And I always tell my clients, if they have never had Bowen before, it's going to feel like a bunch of nothing, but your body knows what to do with it.
And that's what's so fascinating is because I've done a lot of treatments. With this diagnosis, I've spent the last year literally traveling around the US doing all sorts of treatments. And I just want to like laugh in hysteria because Bowen feels like the least of all the things that I've done as far as like what's happening to you, the treatment itself. And yet it has been the biggest impact on my health out of everything that I've done.
That's
I've done
wonderful.
IVs and acupuncture and all sorts of, I'd have to get a list together, but basically everything you can do out there, even special like UV light
Mm.
therapies and all sorts of things. So it's just fascinating to me. So you're an instructor and a therapist yourself. Tell us about Tom Bowen. Let's dive into Tom Bowen. He was from Australia. Where where did he come from? What's his story? And I don't know if you have clarification of when he he passed away when he lived and was practicing Bowen therapy.
Okay. Well, from what I understand, he was in Geelong, Australia, in Victoria, and he developed this technique over decades. And it was around the mid-century, uh, early to mid 1900s, and he was pretty much self-taught. He would observe osteopaths and he would just educate himself in reading and learned about the anatomy and the nervous system. And he had this really amazing ability to sense things through his fingers. So he could feel like nerve impulses and the muscle tension that was evident. And so he basically put that together through trial and error. What's interesting is he was a laborer. So, and he had an excellent mind for mechanics. So he could see imbalances in people just by looking at them.
Mm.
And it didn't take much. And he loved sports. And so he would help the sports athletes and other laborers. And eventually he set up a clinic and he was doing Bowen on many people in a day.
Yeah, I do recall reading that actually somewhere. And I would say, is it not true, like you as a therapist, when you get working in this field of technique, just kind of like a massage therapist, that she can feel when a muscle is tight? And even though you're not exactly dealing with the muscles with Bowen, you're actually dealing with the fascia. Do you have that same sensation that you can kind of feel when something releases or something changes within your movements?
Yes. Yes. That is a kind of important to have that ability to feel, um, because then you can go back and see, was my work successful? And then, okay, yes, this release, this is great. And, or the little buzzing under the nerve
Mm.
impulses, uh, it's really amazing to be able to feel that and know that you've activated that healing response.
Yeah, and I noticed my therapist like checks my hips to see if they're in alignment usually before we start.
Mhm.
What's that about?
Yeah. You can kind of check and assess, kind of see where imbalances are in the body. So you can look to see, are the hip bones even or uneven? A lot of times at the beginning, when we start our work, we go to find the top of the hip bones just so that we know where the precise movements are on the lower back, where our reset button is, and activate the whole Bowen process.
Wow. Why would you say, or maybe how does Bowen work help so many conditions? I will say personally, I've had it done about 5 times here at the time of this recording. And I feel like I don't need as much chiropractic. I have a completely different perspective on massage now that I've understand how Bowen works. I feel less of a need for massage. In fact, almost like maybe massage can, some would say, be more traumatizing to the body. This whole concept of less is
Yeah.
more truly is more, because I've never had results with massage like what the results have been with Bowen.
Yes. Yeah. It's really far reaching because we are influencing the fascia. That's a connective tissue that surrounds every structure in our body, and it's highly innervated. So, because we're dealing with fascia and the nervous system together, we can reach, even if we do a work on one area, another area in the body can be affected by that. And some people will say, well, you only worked on my knee. I'm having a problem in my shoulder. What's up with that? But it's because we're all connected. And anything that the brain controls can be affected and changed through Bowen work.
Mm.
Even our organs. I've had so many great successes with other people that are having issues with the organs within.
Mm. Yeah, I would say so because it's changed my blood work. And that
Wow.
is something. Massage doesn't
Yes.
change your blood work, you
No.
know? Chiropractic doesn't change your blood work. But Bowen, at
No.
least in my case, there was nothing else to pinpoint my results to. It was Bowen.
Yes.
What have your personal results been? Like as you got started?
Well, I had migraines for all my life, and they pretty much started in my teen years. And when I was in class learning Bowen therapy, I mentioned it to my instructor, and she told me, "Oh, you need to have this procedure done." And so she told me uh, she about a Bowen practitioner that was near me, and I went and had the work done, and my headaches and migraines just decreased
Wow,
incredibly. And it was just amazing to be able to live without that terrible, debilitating pain.
absolutely.
And I've also, when I was still in school learning about Bowen, I unfortunately had broken my left wrist. And after class, my instructor, she even did Bowen over my cast.
Mm,
And it was remarkable. That night, I felt little knitting sensations happening around my wrist. Unbelievable. And then later, I had to have an x ray again, and they couldn't even see where I had broken the bone
wow,
in the x ray.
wow. That
Yeah.
is remarkable.
Yeah. It blew my mind.
That is something. What are some of the things that you've seen over the years? Like, do you have a list or some things you can share that Bowen has helped that you've seen with maybe some of your
Oh,
students or your clients?
I have seen so many different things. Stress and anxiety are helped a great deal. Um, the digestive issues, constipation, IBS, joint pain and stiffness. Like I said, the migraines and headaches, people that are suffering with TMJ disorders, uh, general muscle tightness, sciatica, low back pain, breathing
Mm,
problems. I've even helped this little tiny baby who had torticollis, and it's like, where the neck pulls to one side, and was able to get that straightened out. Cerebral palsy, bedwetting, elbow issues, shoulder, knee, ankle. And one of the things that I think Bowen is just wonderful for is fibromyalgia.
mm.
I have seen so many people get relief through Bowen therapy.
Wow. Yeah, I believe it. I occasionally will ask Janelle, what her latest results are and some people that she's seen some great things with. And recently she mentioned someone with sleep apnea. They totally weren't expecting to see anything with their sleep apnea, but somehow it greatly improved. She said she'd saved people from surgeries. I mean, it's just remarkable. So, would you say anyone, I mean, you mentioned an infant, really anyone of any age could be a candidate for receiving this Bowen therapy?
Absolutely. We can address issues for people from newborns to the aged, from the most fragile person to athletes, any anyone in between. So it's appropriate for anybody. It's very gentle, it's non-invasive, and it's a technique where these gentle little moves, we're asking the body to make a change instead of imposing a
Right.
change through force.
Yeah, and that's what's so fascinating to me because I've had deep tissue massage. I'm telling the therapist, like, dig in more. I can handle it. I'm like deep breathing over here, like trying to get this knot out. And I think I listened to a video that said a knot in the muscle or a knot in general is like dehydrated fascia. Does that sound right?
It can be,
Okay.
yes. When the fascia gets dry, it or sticky, the muscle movement is restricted, and that can create that discomfort and a knot. That's one of the things.
Because it can also essentially release tight muscles as well, correct?
Yes, absolutely. You can feel it as I'm going through a session. I can feel the changes happening right there.
Wow. Let's talk about the detox, actually, something that I just thought we should probably bring up because my therapist did kind of forewarn me that for some people, they can feel some detox symptoms. And for some, it's worse than others. I think that goes for any sort of, well, treatment. I know massage can also kind of let loose some toxins, but any type of supplement cleansing or any sort of cleansing or detoxification, um is that something that you see very often with Bowen? I know that you do want to obviously discuss it. It doesn't last forever, but maybe you can talk a little bit more about that.
Yes, it can happen, especially with people that have a lot of toxins within their body, because we are encouraging lymphatic movement
Mm.
through these movements. Um, it can
Release some junk.
absolutely, you could feel kind of fluish, like you've been hit by a bus or
Right.
something. We try to be aware of our clients' condition as we go so that we don't throw them into a strong reaction like that. But every once in a while, it can happen. So I just encourage them to drink more water, do some walking, and just wait. Give your body time, trust the technique, and it'll come around. And it's usually just a brief, maybe a couple hours, maybe a day. It just depends on the person.
Right. And obviously, you want to get those toxins out. If your body's processing something that needs to come out, that's a good thing. And it's kind of
Yes,
like, I
yes.
would say, you wouldn't take someone that's, and I'll use massage for example again, that's never had a massage and go dig in and do deep tissue. They'd probably have the
No.
same response. And I noticed that with my therapist that she started with kind of a lighter technique the first couple times. And now as we've moved more into it, she has gotten a little bit more I guess hands on with a couple more of her maneuvers. So she's doing it maybe a little extra than what she started doing. And that
Yes.
is because she's slowly easing me into the process so that we're
Yes.
mindful of, detox
Yes,
being more a little bit
absolutely.
gentle along the way. But it all depends upon the person's internal toxic levels, and if you're real
Yes.
toxic, then your body could let loose a lot of that, but that's a good thing. So
Yes. Yes. It is a good thing. And just give it some time. You'll get through it and you'll feel way better afterwards. It's worth it.
yeah, absolutely. So I would love to hear your thoughts on how is Bowen different than massage and say acupuncture? Because when someone asks me about Bowen, they're like, well, what is it like? And it's like, oh gosh, well, that's kind of hard to explain. I feel like it's kind of, and you can't even say it's a mixture because it's not. But if I were to pick two, me personally, I would say maybe somewhat acupuncture ish because of the specific points in the body that you do this technique on. But
Mhm.
in massage, in the sense that there's some sort of movement in it, but it's not anything like a massage. So, how would you say they differ in maybe how they work in the body, how their technique works internally?
Hmm. That's a good question. And every modality has its place, um, and they all work from different angles. So, like with massage, it's just a steady movement of muscle, um, trying to get some of the fibers to soften as you go along. But it's a pretty consistent movement. And with Bowen, we just take the skin and slack it a little bit and then do a roll over the muscle. And then we step back and let that muscle think a little bit. And the receptors, we're just so wonderfully made the way our body was
Amen.
designed.
Amen.
And it really, the receptors know what to do. It's just, and that's why it's so precise, because we have to go over these specific areas in the body to activate the receptors to affect the tissues. Um,
And if I can
I
just,
found that Bowen is
no, go ahead.
faster and longer lasting than other modalities. That's not to say other modalities aren't, don't carry their own weight. They do. But I do believe I have seen Bowen seems to be quicker and longer
Mm,
lasting.
yeah, I'm impressed. I'm just constantly impressed. What about acupuncture? I mean, is it the same points, would you say, or are they
Um,
more unique points?
it's not all of them are on acupoints, but some are. It's kind of like it wasn't intentional, I don't believe, but it just happened to work out that way because the meridians that are within our bodies, they coincide with certain structures. And so when we're addressing those, yeah, we're going to naturally go over those meridians, and that can definitely play a big part in that. Um, I it's a complex modality to describe, but it's simple in its application. I wish that there were more words that we could put to it, but it is definitely small movements with minimal pressure. Um, I don't know what else to.
I just feel
You
like it's
haven't something
magical.
else?
We'll just call it magical.
It seems that way. It truly does.
It's just the
Oh,
right points in the body. And one thing I've learned is that our body was made to heal. It wants to heal, but
yes,
sometimes we aren't giving it the right tools, or we're so stressed out, or
yes,
whatever it is, junk. And I mean, our food and our mind and our emotions, like, they affect all of us. And so I really feel like it just brings down everything, or just like brings down the background noise, and lets your body's
yes,
intuitive nature come in and take over and have a
yes,
chance to go and heal. Kind of like, if you could compare it maybe to, like, when someone does fasting for their digestive tract, their body's always so busy digesting food. And when you
yes,
stop eating and you give it a break, your body can actually go and focus on healing and addressing things. And so I kind of feel like Bowen is that. You don't have to deprive yourself of anything. They do say, and maybe we should touch on that, they do say that they don't want you to do any chiropractic or weightlifting or real, uh, major exercise after. Maybe you can fill me in on how long after the treatment.
yes. When you receive your Bowen session, that's your time to heal. And so we don't want to introduce or give it extra work to do while it's processing. Bowen can continue to work within your body for the next 5 to 10 days after we're done. So we don't want to interfere with that. And if we add other modalities, chiropractic, acupuncture, massage, we're introducing more stimuli. And that can send confusing signals because we've already set the body up to do a certain task. and we don't want to interfere. It may water it down, or it may completely stop that Bowen process. As far as exercise goes, the day of your session, it's a day of rest. Give your body some time. Walking is great, always walking. Um, However, if you are avid at working out, you've got events that you want to do, after your Bowen session in the next couple of days, don't up your game. It's not time for new personal best. It's time to just maintain. And yes, you can lift light weights, but it's not time to add new plates. It's not time to increase. It's just time status quo, because we don't want to interfere with that process. It's delicate.
Right. Just kind of do what your body's used to. Don't exert it past
Yes,
that. That's good.
exactly.
That's
Hmm.
great. Well, let's talk about helping people, because if you're listening, I have never been so convinced of something, I feel, in my life. And oh, we didn't talk about results. Oh my gosh, I have to share really quick. Okay, before we talk about how to find a Bowen therapist. So, as I said, it changed my blood work. I feel like I have this new little bit of energy that just is altogether new. Um I was having issues with my vocal cords for many years and was totally never even expecting it, but it actually freed them up. I was struggling and trying everything, and I'm a singer. And so it was really frustrating because nothing seemed to work. I even had massage and we were digging in there. And thanks to Bowen, I think it was after my second treatment, I just miraculously got my voice back. And I was blown away. Now, mind you, I had some vocal capabilities, but there was a part of it that almost felt like it was bound up, like I wasn't able to use it as well. So I knew it was something that needed to be freed or released, but I could not figure out what technique or what I needed to do. And sure enough, Bowen was that. So, along with it changing my blood work, I had some liver enzyme issues. It also ended up helping with that. I mean, it is just remarkable. I referred my mom to get Bowen. It helped her bunion. So if you're familiar, you might not know what a bunion is if you're listening, but it's, when your toe kind of starts to grow inward and your bone starts to stick out. Well, she has two. And Janelle, my therapist, actually said that, it's too bad we didn't catch this sooner. She's had it for years, but she said there's a chance that maybe as your bunion was starting, we could have actually possibly worked on correcting that. But even in her
Yes.
few sessions, she has seen the other foot, which isn't as extreme with her or her bunion situation, Bowen bunion. Um, it's actually straightened a bit, which is insane.
Yes.
And then she had heel pain struggling with. The doctor thought it was a bone spur, turned out to be not a bone spur. They didn't know what it was, gone in 2 treatments. And she
Wow.
had some lumps in her feet. They're getting smaller each time she goes in to get a treatment. And she's also noticed her energy is better. So
Yes.
and then those two friends I mentioned in the beginning, I mean, I can't wait to send more people to experience this. And like I said, it is true, right? You do need to give it at least 3 times before essentially walking away. Because I didn't experience anything my first time. I didn't know if I was ever going to experience anything. But what do you say to that? At least 3, correct?
Yeah, it's definitely recommended to get 3 sessions, because the first session a lot of times is just preparing your body to uh, make the changes that are necessary. And then the follow up sessions then can really put that to work. And some people, like you've mentioned, some people see results in 1 session, some people see it 2 or 3. But you will definitely know by the third visit if Bowen is for you. And some conditions that are more chronic or even neurological will take more. but it's definitely worth a try. I highly recommend it. Otherwise, I would not be doing this and teaching it. It is just an amazing modality that needs to be brought to more people.
Absolutely. And I just thought of one more thing, which I have to share with you guys because this is actually really astounding. So, I would have never even known to check my blood work, but due to my condition, I had something pop up. I had what looked like to be like this wart, and I ended up going to a dermatologist and they said, yeah, it's a wart. We'll go ahead and remove it. They didn't end up removing it yet. We had to go set up a future appointment. However, I'd been putting, essential oil on it, trying to get rid of it. I'd had it for probably over a month, maybe 2 months. And after my third Bowen treatment, I had this wart there. I kid you not. I woke up the next day, and every morning I would reach and I'd feel this stupid thing sitting there in the middle of my chest. It came out of nowhere. Like, I don't even know why it came about, but there it is. Every morning, wake up, feel it. The next day, I wake up and it is almost gone. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, that's insane.
Yes, I've heard of that happening. I have.
I mean, this treatment
Other
is deep
practitioners.
because that essentially, like
Hmm.
they say, a situation,
Yes.
warts are viral. So that
Hmm.
treatment or those treatments leading up to my third treatment did something so deep within my body that started to take that away. And within the next couple days, it was gone. I have nothing there. I didn't have to get anything removed. My mind is still blown. My jaw's still on the floor. Like, that's why I say I have never seen anything like Bowen. Nothing compares.
Yes. No, it does reach very deep within our body, even on a cellular level. So it's just remarkable, absolute brilliance, and we just thank Tom for taking the time to put this together and learn
And as I
and help.
understand, I was reading Tom had a group of 6 people, I believe, that he worked very closely
Yes.
with. I don't know about all 6 of them, but I know one of them is apparently still alive, maybe pushing 100. His name is Ozzy, I think. And he
Yes.
still
Yes.
does classes? Is that right? He's still out there teaching?
As far as I know, in Australia, he is still going. And yes, he is the one who brought Bowen in a teachable format to the world. He did observe um, Tom in his clinic and picked up what he needed to know, and then he brought it to the world in an education package that we can now use and teach others with. And there are still others. There were 6, and I believe there are still 3 more that are still alive as well.
Wow.
So, and they're all in Australia, of course. But yes, they watched and observed Tom in his clinic.
Well, thank goodness that we have people like yourself here in the US that we can reach out to. And with that said, let's talk about what is the best way for someone to find a Bowen therapist and what should they look for? When we were just recently on a trip in Hawaii, I reached out. My son he had like a kink in his neck, and I, of course, am always up for getting Bowen. And so I reached out to look for someone on the Big Island, and sure enough, I found someone. And so I'm really curious what your advice is on how to find someone that would be good and reputable.
Okay. Well, the American Bowen Academy has a website. It's americanbowen.academy. And there's a Find a Practitioner tab. You click on that and then you put in your zip code, and it'll pull up the practitioners that are closest to you within a 100-mile radius. Some areas have more practitioners, and there are others that we're still looking to populate with Bowen people. So that's my recommendation is going to the website, put in your zip code, see who's your closest person.
Love that. And anything to look for specifically in an instructor or just kind of go with anyone?
No, uh, if you're wanting to learn, all the instructors are great. I know them all, and any one of them can help you. Some of them will travel to your locations. So, as long as you have enough students together, they'll come to you. Um, as far as practitioners go, we're all trained the same. So, we all have the same foundation. If you're on the website and you see a little asterisk next to their name, one asterisk means they've completed the special procedures one, and two asterisks means that they've completed special procedures two. So they have a little bit more under their belt to as far as tools go. But we're all trained the same, and I would recommend anyone.
And where can people learn more about you? If you are local to Southern California, Joy is here and is willing to travel up to a certain distance. So you can, I'm sure, reach out to her. But how would they get in contact with you?
You could always give me a call. My phone number is 818-606-4073. Or you can look up my website. It's massagebook.com/biz/Valley Bowenwork.
All right. Well, that about does it for our Bowen podcast. I hope y'all learned so much. Go out and get this treatment, this therapy, this Bowen work yourself, experience it. Give it at least 3 times. And Joy, thank you so much again for being here to help educate more on this. I hope we get more therapists out there. So there's one in every city. So we never have to be
Yes,
without, because I feel like it is the
yes,
way, it is the thing that everybody needs. And since it can benefit literally baby to, centurion, we need to have this in our back pocket. So thank you so much again. You guys that are
my
listening, thanks
pleasure.
so much for being here. I know that you have so many other podcasts that you could listen to. Appreciate it. And this is what it's all about, because when you know better, you do better. We'll see you next time.